This woman, who is she? My spouse and an unknown woman were standing there as I made my way to the entryway. She was attractive and somewhat young. This is my new wife. My spouse grinned in response to my question about who she was. We are going to share this place together going forward. What topic are you discussing? What has happened to this suddenly? I'm not sure I get it. It's the reason I'm telling you. I'm ending our marriage. I've taken control of this house and am now president. What are you trying to say? Auntie, just go. My husband and his lover soon dumped me after I said those remarks. We don't need you anymore, Auntie. I was ejected from the residence. I work in an office and am 30 years old. My name is Sandy. My father owns the business where I work, and I help him both at work and in his personal life. We've been alone ever since my mother passed away. When I was in middle school, I started cooking and cleaning because my father had trouble doing the chores. I packed lunches for him as well. My father taught me my studies and was appreciative of my efforts. I was able to get into a reputable high school and then a university because of him. I decided to work for my father's business after graduation as a way of giving back. There were many good people at work, and I was really happy when everyone worked together to produce excellent outcomes. I believed it was a fantastic firm and felt inspired. I had a fateful encounter one day. A man named Joey was hired by the corporation in the middle of his career. Despite the fact that he was 2 years older than me, I was captivated by his kind demeanor and conversation style right away. He had a great passion for his work and forged fast friendships with coworkers. He struck me as a really decent man. We were coworkers at first, but after a year-end celebration, we began having more intimate conversations. Before long, we were going out to eat a lot together. Despite my initial reluctance to date, I soon found that I wanted to spend more time with him, and even went so far as to deliberately suggest dates. We grew closer over time, and one day he told me how he felt. We got into a relationship. My motivation at work hasn't decreased after then. I enjoyed spending time with him after work and at lunch breaks, but I was serious during work hours. He took me to different places and knew a lot of places to go dating. In the town where I had been employed for a considerable amount of time, he also introduced me to several incredible eateries. We had a pleasant relationship, and we started talking about getting married around a year after we first started dating. We told my father about it as well. Joey told my father, "I'm going out with Sandy, and we are considering marriage in the future," with a hint of nervousness. I also stated what we intended to do. With a broad smile, my father bestowed upon us his blessing, ecstatic. Feeling relieved to receive my father's blessing, our relationship proceeded without incident. Joey proposed to me about a year and a half after we first started dating. He gave me a ring and added, "Let's get married soon and reassure your father." I gladly agreed to his suggestion and informed my father right away. He cried, "Oh, you're finally getting married, huh?" with much satisfaction. We then went to Joey's family's house, where I got to know his mother. It transpired that he was raised by a single parent as well. Due to his adultery, his mother had already divorced him at a young age. When Joey was little, her father had left with his lover. After moving back to her parents' house, his mother enlisted their help to start preparing for a national exam. 2 years later, after a lot of work, she passed the test. It was the bar test, and she started her legal career after finishing her training. She had originally graduated from law school, but after getting married and having Joey, she had given up on her dreams. She chose to overcome her husband and become a successful lawyer after witnessing his adultery. Her parenting style was equally severe. Joey used to say, "My mother gave me a lot of grief. To be honest, it was hard. She may also be harsh with you." Though I was anxious, I was proud of her accomplishments. The day soon arrived when I finally got to meet his mother. "Nice to meet you. I'm Sandy. I smiled and said hello to her. "Nice to meet you. My name is Joey," she said with a serious expression. Tension was in the air. She said, "Please come in." And I went inside their house. She asked a lot of questions at the marriage introduction. It was more akin to an interview. In the end, though, she gave her approval to our union. Following that, Joey and I got married and began our new life together. Since we were employed by the same company, we enjoyed traveling to work and traveling home together. Our co-workers referred to us as the perfect pair. It was kind of embarrassing, but it also made me joyful. We would take trips or go driving on the weekends, making lots of enjoyable memories. I was thankful to have married Joey every day. But one thing worried me: my mother-in-law. Since she lived alone, we went to see her frequently since we thought it was important to see how she was doing. But every visit was accompanied by critical remarks about me. "Sandy, you have to have greater confidence in yourself. Things that you don't like should be okay to refuse. How will you handle real trouble if you can't handle unreasonable demands or troubles?" she would ask. "Yes, I understand." "Do you really understand what I'm saying?" "Yes, I do." "Make sure your responses are firm too." Every visit made me nervous. She had strong opinions even when I was debating whether to keep working or devote more time to my family. "Why did you leave your job as soon as you received your degree from college? You have the resourcefulness to take care of home responsibilities, but don't take a job loss lightly." I was unable to give up after hearing her say this. Joey would often comfort me following our visits. "My mother treats herself and other people with the same strictness," he would remark. "Don't take her words too seriously," which would relieve me. We eventually cut down on how often we went to her house. However, there was still more worry: my father's health. More often than not, he appeared exhausted. He would respond, "No, I'm fine," when I inquired whether he felt ill, but it was obvious he wasn't. My father was taken to the hospital after collapsing one day while at work. Fortunately, his life was not in danger, but he was quite weakened, and the doctors advised us to live with him, if possible, to monitor his condition. When I discussed this with Joey, he immediately agreed. "We should live with your father and keep an eye on him since I'm worried about his health," Joey said. "Thank you, Joey," I replied, grateful for his support. Initially, my father hesitated to live together, but after I strongly argued that we should prioritize his health, he agreed. We moved into my childhood home to start our life together. Living together went smoothly, and Joey and my father built a good relationship. I was comforted by being able to live close to my father as he grew older. He became less active than before, which was inevitable. With age, sudden deterioration or illness became a concern. Amidst this, there was something slightly worrying. One day, when I returned home from shopping, I found Joey on the phone in the bedroom. "Yeah, everything will be in our hands soon. Don't worry, everything is going according to plan," I overheard. I was curious about what he was discussing, but I decided it was best not to eavesdrop on his phone conversation. I went to the kitchen to put away the groceries, and after Joey finished his call, he came to me. "Are you back already?" "Yes, I just got home. I didn't want to interrupt since you were on the phone," I replied. "Did you hear that?" Joey asked. "No, I definitely didn't listen," I answered quickly. "Okay," he said, showing a troubled expression. "Was it something I shouldn't have heard?" A wave of anxiety washed over me. Since we worked at the same place, I doubted the call was work-related. It could have been with his mother, but he doesn't get along well with her, so that seemed unlikely. I wondered who he was talking to and about what. However, around that time, my father's health rapidly deteriorated, diverting my attention to him. He became unable to walk and needed care. Considering your father's condition, you should quit your job to take care of him. I'll be taking over the company, so you don't need to work anymore, Joey suggested. That might be true. I started to agree, but then I remembered his mother's words to continue working and to stand strong on my own. Somehow, her words felt significant now. No, let's hire a daytime helper, I decided. Ha! Joey looked surprised. I think there would be a great deal of instability for the company if my father were gone, even if you become the president. Having been the president's daughter at the company for so long, I want to be a source of moral support for everyone. Plus, that way I can support you too, I continued. I see. Joey appeared slightly disappointed. Despite his concern, I felt that quitting my job was not the right choice. Following that intuition, I decided to act on my own resolve. Afterward, my days were filled with a busy schedule of work, household chores, and caring for my father. At night, my father seemed apologetic, but caring for him was not a burden to me. Meanwhile, Joey also became busy with taking over the company, making our lives even more hectic. Amid this busyness, we received joyful news. I was pregnant. My father was extremely happy to hear this news and eagerly awaited the birth of his grandchild. I, too, was overjoyed to know that I would be able to show my father his grandchild's face. However, when I told Joey about the pregnancy, his expression clouded momentarily. "You're pregnant?" he asked. "Yes, it's our child. Aren't you happy?" I responded. "Of course I'm happy. It was just unexpected and surprising, that's all," he said. "Well, you're going to be a dad now, so you've got to do your best," I said. Yeah?" he replied somewhat reluctantly, which concerned me. After a safe delivery, my father met his grandchild for the first time and wept with joy. When we visited Joey's mother, who is usually quite strict, she too showed a gentle smile upon seeing her grandchild and lifted the baby up. "She's truly adorable, Sandy. You did well giving birth. Managing work, household chores, and caregiving must have been incredibly hard," she praised me, and I felt surprisingly pleased. Maybe Joey's mother wasn't just strict after all. Many people celebrated the birth of our child, which was very heartening. Going forward, I intended to focus on parenting in cooperation with Joey. However, shortly after, my father's health rapidly deteriorated. Despite receiving treatment in the hospital, he passed away a week later. "Dad, why?" I grieved. It was then revealed that my father had been diagnosed with cancer 6 months ago and had been told his time was limited. However, he had kept this fact hidden because he didn't want to worry me. My father didn't want to sadden us by revealing his illness. With a child on the way, he was determined to live long enough to see his grandchild, a testament to his strong will. Upon learning of my father's feelings, I couldn't hold back my tears. The funeral was held, and many people attended. It became clear how much my father was loved, seeing the friends and colleagues who came to pay their respects. I managed to perform my duties as the chief mourner without shedding tears, maintaining composure throughout the ceremony. After the funeral, we sorted through his belongings. During this time, Joey naturally took over as president of the company. For about a month, everything was peaceful. However, after that, something unbelievable happened. That day, we were hit by unexpected bad weather, with a torrential downpour. Joey said he was going out to shop, but I felt uneasy while I was feeding the baby milk. Joey returned. I went to greet him at the entrance with relief, saying, "Welcome back." "I'm home," Joey replied. Who is this woman?" As I approached the entrance, Joey, who was standing there with an unfamiliar woman, was quite young and beautiful. I asked, "Who is this woman?" Joey smiled and said, "This is my new wife." From now on, We will live together in this house." "What are you talking about? What is this all of a sudden? I don't understand," I exclaimed. "That's why I'm telling you. I'm divorcing you. I've become the president and have taken over this house," Joey said coldly. "What do you mean?" "Just leave quickly. We don't need you anymore, Auntie," he said with harsh words. I was forced out of the house with my baby in my arms, into the pouring rain. Unable to return home, I pressed the intercom and knocked on the door, but neither my husband nor the woman responded. Desperate, I sought shelter from the rain and remembered a small tunnel-shaped play structure in a nearby park. So I ran there. Sheltering in the tunnel, I shivered from the cold as both my baby and I were soaked. I knew this wasn't good for the baby. I had to find a warm place and seek help from someone. Despite feeling hopeless, I decided to call my mother-in-law for help. Even if she didn't like me, I believed she would act for the sake of her grandchild. I explained the situation over the phone. Responding to my call, my mother-in-law immediately came to pick us up in her car. "Sandy," she called out when she saw me. "Mother," I replied. "Quickly, get in the car," she urged. She drove us to her home, taking both the baby and me. "Please take care of this child," I asked, to which my mother-in-law frowned slightly but responded, "What are you talking about? You come in too." "Is it really okay for me too?" I asked. "Of course, you are family too," she said. Her kind words almost overwhelmed me. I'm truly sorry for Joey's irresponsible behavior. I've always felt he had traits similar to his father, but I thought there wouldn't be any problems. He still caused trouble because he married someone as wonderful as you, yet he still caused trouble, my mother-in-law continued. Her understanding and support in that moment of crisis not only offered me shelter, but also renewed my hope and faith in family. "Am I wonderful?" I asked in surprise. "Of course you are. As I've said before, you have lived admirably. You handle household chores, caregiving, parenting, and work all by yourself. I respect you for that. That's why I can't forgive my son for betraying someone like you," my mother-in-law stated. Her statement brought me to tears. She had been watching me the entire time. "Avoid crying. Grow more powerful." She reassured me, caressing my head tenderly. "You're a mother." Once I had cooled down a little, she fixed herself some steaming coffee, and my mother-in-law spoke resolutely. "It's time to respond with force now. We'll make amends for this transgression," she said. We got ready to stand by my side, and her legal backing gave me the fortitude I needed. We devised a strategy to confront my spouse and his mistress, who had wrongfully occupied my house. When we got to the house, my husband gave us a cold reception. He questioned, "What are you doing here?" But his look changed to astonishment the moment he realized his mother was behind me. He said, "Why is Mom here?" "Joey, I'm a lawyer here today instead of your mother. Please allow us in. We have a lot to talk about." "We're going to court if you don't want to," my mother-in-law said. My spouse reluctantly allowed us inside. The mistress was obviously surprised to see me and my mother-in-law, but she was even more surprised to find out that I was a lawyer. "Let's get the conversation going. You mentioned that you inherited the house, but where are the relevant legal records?" "It was supposed to go to Sandy," inquired my mother-in-law. "I've properly prepared the documents and completed the procedures, so there's no issue," said my spouse. "That's inaccurate. Sandy claims she can't recall signing any such paperwork." My mother-in-law said, "Documents pertaining to ownership transfers must be signed by the real person." My spouse was taken aback by her statement and stammered when he spoke. The documents seemed to have been falsified. "The act of forging documents is illegal. Are you aware of what you did? I'll make sure you can't claim ignorance again. It is impossible for you to avoid accountability, even if you were unaware," she said. My husband's concern was obvious as he began to perspire heavily. The mistress became agitated as well, scanning the area warily. It was signed by Sandy. My spouse tried to explain himself by saying she was just upset and forgot. But I politely said, "No, I did not sign anything. You can verify it using a handwriting analysis. The documents were falsified by you. That much is obvious." My spouse stammered and said, Well, my mother-in-law chastised Joey. "Joey, stop this nonsense." And he physically staggered. He said, "I'm sorry, I had her forge it." With a gesture toward a voice recorder, my mother-in-law said, "This completes the evidence." My spouse became pale, unintelligible, and motionless. "As Sandy's attorney, I demand that you divide the property and leave this house immediately," she said. My husband begged, "Why are you supporting her, Mom?" "Sandy is a decent individual." My mother-in-law replied, "She became a member of my family after she married you, which made her important to me too." "However, I am your true son," he objected. "This family has been betrayed by you. I'm cutting all contact with you as of right now." She uttered harsh words. "I want you to never show your face to us again." My spouse was disheartened and lowered his head in shame. The mistress appeared terrified and was clearly shook. After that, my husband and I got divorced, and I got my dad's estate back. My ex-husband was compelled to resign after losing his job at the company and experiencing staff rejection. He actually departed the company in a manner akin to that of a runaway. I then assumed control of my father's business and started serving as its president. My mother-in-law would stop by to help with the baby's care during the day. I never thought that someone I used to find difficult to get along with would turn out to be such a big help. I sincerely appreciate her help. My ex-husband's mistress left him because he was unable to find a big enough home after quitting the job. Now, working part-time jobs to make ends meet, he is fighting to pay off a sizable amount of debt and child support. As president, I am working hard and committing my life to preserving my child's and our employees' means of subsistence. This difficult road has reinforced the importance of resilience and family, which has helped me guide the company and my family toward a stable future.